All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the On Time, On Target Morning Brief, where we invest with the military precision. All right, today is a Wednesday, September 2nd, and the big news here, all right, thank you. Big news here is that birthday season for Team Ankerstar is finally complete. We have basically all four of our birthdays are within a 32-day period, and that can be exhausting at times, but got Irene complete last night, a very successful day. So we're very happy, and back on to some other things. You're going to see some big changes coming up in both websites that I have. So I'm pretty excited about that. A lot of new material to push out there. And as far as the podcast, now down over 2,000 downloads, have 54 episodes out there. So everything is tracking along very nicely. For those of you that may be checking us out on replay today, this is an investment forum that we get together every morning. You talk about different ideas and questions that are out there. I bring some stuff to the table from what I see, but everybody in the forum brings their ideas in as well. And I answer any questions that you happen to have. What you're not seeing on the recording here is there is a chat window, which you've already got some stuff going on. Thanks for the happy birthday stuff. Don't look a day over 60. That's a joke from the Predator out there. Ha ha. Getting funnier over the years. I don't think you are, actually, but you're trying. I like it. I appreciate it. And then we also have a Q&A window, which already has two questions in it. So thank you for that. And then, of course, anybody who's wanting to communicate in the chat, make sure you have all panelists and attendees selected. All right, let's go ahead and get started. The rest of this is a fighter pilot style morning brief. Mission objectives today: we're going to grow our money, protect our money, and live off our money. The specific tactical objectives today that we're going to talk about is DraftKings and the gaming stocks. So largely, we're going to talk about that as our topic of the day because Michael Jordan went in with DraftKings this morning, so the stock's up over 10%. You know, that's one of my favorites. I have arguably way too much of it personally, so I'm thrilled about this. But we're going to talk about the DraftKings, some other things that are going through that came through the special acquisition company process, like DraftKings did. Another company that hasn't officially gone through that full process yet. And then we're going to talk about the rest of the gaming stocks out there. When you think of, and we'll see this in the headlines, if a vaccine is coming in 2020, which it sure looks like it is, right? So a lot of positive headlines here. If it happens, there are certain industries that are poised to be that value investing. Remember when that used to be a thing? Yeah, well, it's still a thing, even though tech is basically just screaming the market higher. But for value investing, what stands to benefit from a vaccine? You know about the airlines, the cruise lines. Well, the gaming stocks do too, because that means sports are all going to return. Maybe not all at once, but over time, normality in sports, and we're getting the casinos back open. So not a bad space to be an investor when people are wanting to flood out there and enter into negative EV, which is expected value investments. And we want to be on the correct side of that, meaning being a shareholder of the house. So we're going to talk about that as our topic of the day this morning. It's more of a grow our money, but also falls under protect our money, because a lot of these names have been beaten up so much, they really don't have much downside. Like an Apple or a Tesla that's just been through the roof does have downside. They're great companies, but they do have downside just from how far they've run so fast. So the question of the day relates to Boom, that put in a couple questions this morning about GAAP and non-GAAP earnings. So we've talked about that before. We're going to talk about that again. I have to run off to a family medical appointment here pretty quick, so we weren't going to talk too long about that. But yeah, we can throw that in there as a question of the day and kind of clarify what's going on there. As far as our flow this morning, we're going long, short, open, short, long, which means that we're going to talk about long-term investing stuff, because that's the priority. Talk about where the market is in relation to the election, all that stuff. We're going to talk about the markets around the world last night. We're going to talk about the headlines this morning so far. There are a lot of them out there. Then we're going to talk about hearing some weird music in the background, trying to figure out where it's coming from. Then we're going to talk about switch to within 10 minutes of the open to look for some short-term day trading opportunities. Even if you're not a day trader, you can follow along, at least the thought process. We're going to talk in terms of risk units and then I'll call a couple trades right after the market opens. We'll resolve that within 5 to 10 minutes after the market opens, and we're going to talk our long-term stuff again. We'll close out the chat room, close out the Q&A, and then get on about our day. If you have any tech issues, just contact me at steve@ototnow.com. I have it open over here and be able to resolve your issues real time. And as far as the disclaimer, this is a financial education presentation, so you have to do your own due diligence before acting on anything you hear in this presentation. With that, let's go ahead and share out the TD Ameritrade screen, which you're going to see pop up right now. The chart that you're looking at is the 1-year SPY chart. So again, it's SPY is the ticker we're looking at. It is the S&P 500. From left to right, you know about the big run up into the highs of February, the big drop, biggest drop ever, 35% in a month, down to the March 23rd lows. The infamous March 22nd lock and load PowerPoint briefing I sent out, and then basically the 50% plus retracement we've seen since then. All the major indices are in the green. Your portfolio should be in the green unless you are a super conservative in retirement, kind of risk off completely portfolios. Those are about the only ones that have not recovered in this situation, but even those are within about 5% of where they were in February. But for everybody else, if you're taking any risk at all, you've been rewarded handsomely. You know that it's time to turn the risk off, even though every day it seems like we're screaming to new highs. And, you know, every day that we continue to do that just means when there is a correction, the harder that correction is. You know, the higher you go, the harder you fall, sort of thing. So that's what we're looking at on the SPY. We were in the green yesterday, and again, we're set up for green this morning. All right, let's check out the chart. This is the last 5 days. You see in the dark blue here, these are where the market is open, and then of course the light purple is when the markets are closed. So big up day yesterday, and then basically right on into market closing last night, again 8 p.m. Eastern, opens back up at 4 p.m. Eastern, continued the rocket ship up. I was up a little bit early this morning, so I actually was like, this is insane. And then it sold off since then. So the trajectory going into the open is down, and I think that makes sense. There should be some profit taking going into September. This is a little bit crazy. And again, it's not good from whether, you know, we are a professional or a personal investor. You never want to see something just go straight up, because that doesn't end well. So you do want to see it kind of come in and get measured there for a while. Super V, I like it. Pretty much a V. People are still arguing what it is. I'm like, all right, I give up on y'all. All right, as far as earnings this morning, probably there's a bunch of them out, and we'll cover those when we go around through the headlines. But the one that made me happy is Macy's. Basically crushed earnings. Again, the earnings were expected to be so low, but they had a 53% increase on their online digital sales. This is like Macy's. Think as big and lethargic as you can get out there as far as a retailer. And if they're getting it done, well, pretty much anybody can get it done. So pretty excited about that. I do have some Macy's bonds floating around out there that have been selling for about 75 cents on the dollar. So this will help those bonds recover back up to that par of 100. If you don't know what I'm talking about when I say bonds, I have a couple podcasts out on bonds. So go check those out. So overall, we're kind of at the end of earnings season, but pretty much crushing it across the board. All right, we'll click on that'll be our day trading screen. We'll get back to you here in a minute. Let's go ahead and take a look at CNBC.com, and we'll talk about where the markets are this morning. So you see it there. I'm going to click refresh real quick and then get back up to the top. All right, here's where we are this morning across the board. NASDAQ up over 1%, and S&P and Dow up about 0.5%. So again, a little euphoria in the air from the Tesla 5-for-1 split, the Apple 4-for-1 split. It's like, oh, look, I have four times as many shares now. I'm rich. You know, all those are accounting measures, which we're going to talk about in our question of the day today as well. So that's where we stand this morning. The Dow was up over 200 points. So again, retraced about a third of that already. So we'll see going into the open. All right, here's the news across Europe. Everything up a big, percent plus. So good news in Europe. Asia was mixed across the board, not a whole lot in the big three there as far as the total movement. Here are numbers from yesterday. Big thing on the VIX. I'm a long VXX trade going into The election, again, BXX is the ticker you use to go long volatility. VIX is the measure that you see here. So down a little bit yesterday, but again, any sell-off in the market is going to increase volatility. And even as you saw yesterday, even though it shows that it's barely in the red here, really, if you look at the VIX over the past week, is even though the market's going straight up, VIX is going up as well. It touched over 27 yesterday. All right, not a lot of movement in the bonds. Oil's holding nicely, well above 40. No real concerns in the energy market right now, even though we just had the big hurricane go through the Gulf. Precious metals a little bit surprising here. Silver selling off a couple of percent. Remember, silver was down at 14%, $14 a share for a while. I do get asked every day a couple times. They're like, hey, should I buy some gold? You can if you want. Hey, if you're worried about inflation, then buy some gold up to 10%. If you want it, you can buy ETFs in all these things that we've talked about before. Go to YouTube and kind of catch an old presentation on that. Or if you're going to buy actual physical stuff, buy these silver ingots. You can get them basically from pawn shops or local metals dealers there. And where did my screen go? Let's get that back. All right. And then on into the headlines of the day. So we're skipping right here because this is making me happy and making all of this money this morning. Is DraftKings goes up 13% to believe above $40 a share, which I have some calls there, so I might have to make some decisions on that today. But other information or other headlines that are out there. Zoom, don't have a whole lot of this. Basically, only if people have made me put them into it. Went up 41% yesterday. Wow. So screaming higher. So there's the Macy's beat, the Michael Jordan DraftKings deal. Again, payroll number in today. TikTok's been in the news every day. All right, let's scroll down and see what else we have. You know about Teslas. Elon Musk yesterday became the third richest man in the world from the jump that they had yesterday. He replaced Zuckerberg, who was third. So Elon Musk has been on fire. Kind of unbelievable. All right, movies are back. I know Predator talked about this not too long ago, maybe 2 weeks. Theaters are open. He went out and braved it. He's still here. So obviously it's safe. But sure, you think, okay, theaters are back open. People do want to get out. People want to spend money. And honestly, when you look, I heard an interesting article the other day about retail is on fire right now because people can't travel. So the kind of your travel budget, if you're used to spending, a couple $100 or 10,000 a year in travel stuff, you're not, right? Because you can't go anywhere. So that means people are buying stuff. I kind of hate stuff personally, but I like to have a few things and I like to have them be really nice, but hey, get into spend mode and that it benefits everybody out there. But I think this will be, people will be anxious to get back out. Our local Flicks Brew House just opened up this weekend. So maybe we'll get out and check it out. We shall see. Housing market's been on fire. You know that. NBA is still playing if anyone cares. Solving problems one dribble at a time. All right. That is it for the headlines I'm going to talk about today. Let's go to FinBiz, and we are going to check out our topic of the day, which is, again, some gaming stocks and some starting with the online stuff. Yeah, Tenet, very nice. I want to see that. I'm excited about that movie as well. Okay, here's the DraftKings chart. I'm going to refresh this. What you don't see is, I was hoping to get it, but the move up today, it's already up 12%, gapping up pre-market again on the Michael Jordan news. But so what did you see? This again was one of these. It was born out of the special purpose acquisition company. So I did hold it. I can't remember the old ticker. But anyhow, I bought the old ticker, and then it became DraftKings, and then it shot up. So basically, I can't remember where I bought it in here. I think personally, I'm at $11 a share as far as my basis, and most people are that are still in it. And I know we've shaved some of this in this big run up. So yeah, it's been a sell up in here, and now it's going to be back above 40, which again, I have some layered calls. If you heard somebody use layered calls, I have calls at 40, 45, and 50. So I'll scale out of my position by actually not moving those calls, unless there's some reason, and I haven't read the article yet on why Michael Jordan specifically is hopping in. But DraftKings itself, while we're talking about specifically DraftKings, the CEO, and I don't know if I believe his message, but he's saying they want to be way more than a gambling company. I got to see what's I need some meat on the bones there as far as, well, what do you mean? They do have a ton of sponsorships out there, so I kind of cringe every time I see DraftKings ads on major things, because it's kind of like, that's just straight spend, right? So we'll see. Obviously, they're making a lot of money in the space, but it's a very competitive space, and I don't know long term. So I don't know, back above 40, maybe time to peel off some shares again. We shall see. Not a whole lot of things to like down here. So you're kind of, as far as the ratios, so you're kind of on hope a little bit, but overall the gambling space, again, vaccine happens, then a lot of these things stand to benefit. All right, let's go take a look at some other names in the space. I'm going to share out to you the Schwab Advisor Center screen, which is popping up now. Yeah, I'm checking some things on another page while you absorb all of that. So what you see here is DraftKings in the upper left. Again, that's the name we've been talking about, and it is zoomed in here. So here's where it actually went. So that's zoomed out as far as possible. So it's back in April, right where kind of in the midst of all the craziness and the sell-offs and the nonstop phone ringing off the hook, which was a good time. And of course, that means I have to earn my pay. But somewhere in here, obviously it's showing 1832 is the low. Rode that bump up, and it's gone from there. The next one out to shoot is LCA, which is going to, again, Special Acquisition Company, going to turn into GNOG, GNOG, Golden Nugget Online Gaming. So you've kind of seen the move here. Here was the, yep, it's going to happen, pop up, then kind of a sell-off, and then pop up again to up in here. I think you'll see LCA kind of get drugged up today from the move in DraftKings, meaning more people are going to be behind this as well. I keep forgetting his exact name. I think it's Fertitta is the owner of the Houston Rockets that, again, is behind this as well. So kind of exciting stuff. I think there's money to be made here. Once they do, remember DraftKings, it was down at 11 when it actually went to it IPO'd just by changing the ticker. It basically jumped to like 60%. I expect a similar move out of LCA. Maybe not as much because people are onto the game. Pin Gaming is another name out there that everybody's excited about in the online space. So you can see how it has gone through. This is a regular stock that's been around for a while, pays a dividend, the big sell-off all the way to what, $5, and then back up to almost 60. Wow, 10-bagger, right? So nice. You had to have some faith, but again, unlike the casinos, which are the next two, LVS, that's Las Vegas Sands. You have MGM. I could have picked Caesars. They have their merger with El Dorado. There's different things to look at in the space, but when you look at casinos, brick and mortar types, you're not seeing charts like the first three. You're seeing these charts that have sold off and largely only barely recovered. So as a value investor, which I like growth over value, but as a value investor, this is where the money's going to be made once we have a vaccine and people can get out and about. This is going to pop. MGM is going to pop. Both of them are not anywhere near. Well, they're kind of near, but well, not really. That's they're still 33% off from where they were in February. So a lot of the value names are going to jump, and that's what I would rather day trade them than really buy them and then try to sell them and time all that. But we'll see. I may move in, I may not. I have the right to change my mind. And then if you want to get in the ETF space, you can go to BETZ, which again is bets. That is obviously been on fire. So it IPO'd in June, so you don't really IPO as an ETF, but it just comes into existence. And then as money flows into ETFs, they go in and they buy all these names. So again, if more people are buying bets, the more money gets put to work that same day. The same day the money flows in, they have to go out and buy a sliver of all of these companies. So again, people that are the very passive folks that buy passive investments. That helps us, the more active types that are in individual names, because money flows in, and behind the scenes they're having to buy the individual names. So it's kind of crazy. It's also why names like Las Vegas and MGM can get pulled up by a DraftKings, because people are either buying DraftKings or the ETF, and they're actually getting names that they may not even know they're getting. So anyhow, enough on that. Let's switch to the day trading mentality. We're going to go to briefing.com, and I see a new name in the room here. So while we go over to the short side of the house, again, this is not really the priority, but it is something we take a look at every morning. We're looking at a specific scenario. We're looking at stocks, that individual stocks, sometimes a trading mechanism like an ETF, but mostly individual stocks that are going up or down 5 to 10%. That's the gap up. It's a gap and go strategy. So if something's gapping up 5 to 10%, we're going to take it long. If something is gapping down 5 to 10%, we're going to take it short. Now, some of these names we get into, I know, let's see, Boom has had some issues getting the actual names. That's a TD Ameritrade thing too, because TD Ameritrade is primarily for long-term investors, where if you get into a trade station or a tasty trade or any of these interactive brokers that are now more towards the trader, that's where they're going to have the big pools of these stocks available for you to short. So that's one thing I looked up for you, Boom, yesterday, that is why, TD Ameritrade's like, we do it, we have it available, we don't have a lot available. So something to consider. On the screen here, it's small print, I am sure, no matter what screen you're on, but let me take some notes real quick. This is kind of the morning highlight. So first of all, what's gapping up? GES, I believe that's guess, going up 7%. LE, I'm blanking on the name, but up 5%, so that meets our criteria. Let's see, Macy's 5% on the news. These would all be longs. NVIDIA, after an upgrade, NVDA, gapping up 5%. Z, I believe, is Zillow's up 4%. I tend to look at those two just in case we see something we like, or it gets up in that 5 to 10 range. On the short side, we see Home, HOME, at minus 15%, and SCVL minus 12%. And then over in the Q&A, let's see, RXT, Rackspace. We'll take a look at it just to see if it's in motion there. Boom. Maybe it's tradable, maybe it's not. I also look down here. 3, nope. Let's see, minus 16, minus 4. GSX has an SEC investigation. I like that. I'm looking down at the bottom. If you're wondering where I'm looking, GSX is minus 16%. Anything legal though, you can hop in there. JAMF down 9%, and ALVR down 4%. So for the new folks in the room, this is my shopping list to kind of check things out. And then we click over to this screen and we pop these in here real quick. I've been a little talkative this morning, so I'm going to go through these quickly. First, we look at the long names. GES, I would rather short than go long, but the market is in the green today, and the market's a little bit crazy right now. So this is guess. We're looking for 100,000 volume at least. It's got plenty of that. It's going from 12 to 14.28. So I do like that gap up. So that meets our criteria. So that will make something you could go into. LE, I should know the ticker. Lands in, that's who it is. So again, another retail earnings beat is what it is. So they're up 5%. So we could take a look at that. Let's see, we don't have the volume, so scratch that. That would be a delayed entry and not as much of a gap. Let's take a look at Macy's. See, we kind of bought 5 million shares. Yeah, we've got the volume. So that's going to be easy to be in and out of. Again, post smaller than expected loss, but again, the online news, the up 53% was the big gain out there. Let's roll this, if I can, to see where we've been with Macy's, all the way down to $6. Okay, it's had these spikes up. So today it's going $7 up to $7.40. So 745, it does have room to run higher. I still think Macy's is probably a lethargic name compared to Guess. Guess is a little more popular, a little more hip, if you will. So I kind of like Guess better than Macy's. All right, let's look at NVIDIA. Chip maker, always a good place to put some money. I like it as a long name overall, even though I like Micron a little better. All right, look at NVIDIA. This is kind of insane, the price point here. So if you were to go in, if you were to day trade this, it's not easy, and you're going to have like a $50 stop. So I wouldn't bother. 55 up to 587. So you're on your own if you take that one. But even at that price point, look at that. Still 600,000 shares trading hands. So I'm just scratching that. And let's take a look at Zillow long. We have 5 minutes to the open. A little better price point, 88 up to 91. Gapping up, I don't see the news. And all right, if you see the news, pop it in the chat. I don't see it, but I do like that it's gapping. All right, let's look at some short names. GSX. I don't know what GSX Tech EDU is. It does have the volume. It is, this is the one that has a legal, discloses an SEC investigation. That's never good. RMB, that's renminbi, that's China, I want to say. I'm on my game here. So they beat revenue, guides above consensus, but missed on earnings and an SEC investigation. So if you're going to take this, look at it was up at 140, closed at 95, down to 79. I kind of like that, excuse me, even though it's down 16%. So just due to legal issues, I will put that as the #1 short. See what we can find out of home. The at-home group gapping down from 23 to 18. That's a large gap. Pre-market gappers in reaction to earnings, so down almost 15%. It does have room to fall, so we'll put that as a #2, even though it's already moved quite a bit. It does have the volume. SCVL, Shoe Carnival. No volume on that, so we're not touching it. RXT, just to see what it's doing. Upgrade Zillow to target. Thank you. I like that. All right. RXT 2164, gapping up slightly. Not a whole lot. They've been in the news a couple days ago. So now I can take a look at that. JAMF. See if they have the volume. Don't have the volume. They are gapping down though. And last one we'll look at is ALVR. Don't know what that is. Alavir, no volume. So get rid of that. All right, so let's go ahead and set up. We don't have time. Well, let's look real quick. So DocuSign is going long, DOCU. NVIDIA, we have, those are up 5 and 7%. See what DocuSign. Okay, just a work from home kind of gapping up. See what we have on the short side. Again, JMF, we already talked about. NVAX gapping down. So put that on the short side. It does meet our criteria. See if there's anything. Fauci says the vaccine can come early, evidently not from Novavax. So again, it's been selling off. This is a continuation as well. I actually kind of like that. May set that up. All right. Minute to go, so running out of time. So I'm going to bail on that. Bunch of stuff gapping up. And then there's DocuSign again. CrowdStrike is gapping up, and Peloton says CRWD, and then PTON. Could be other names we'll take a look at, but we are out of time. So let's go over to sharing out our TD Ameritrade screen. So what you're going to see here is 4 screens from left to right. The one on the all the way left is the SPY. As far as my favorite on the shorts, let's look at GSX for the legal issues. Get that in here. So again, let's look at the stop. So again, probably looking at probably $1 stop here. I think that thing will just roll over. So I really like that. So that's going to be the #1. We got 30 seconds to the open. So focus in on a little bit of that. We'll probably take that pretty quick, actually. Home is at home. Again, that's a short, so we'll be zoomed in on that. Again, you can get pretty low stop out there. And as far as our long, let's look at actually, let's stay short across the board. So here's NVAX short, and there is the market open coming to us right now. So all three short, we're looking across. Ooh, I like how this is backing up. Boy, I just saw NVAX sell off hard there. All right, look at this. I do like that. Okay, it's got to retrace all the way down to, ooh, I like this level right here. So again, this will be short and GSX, plenty of volume. Let's go to 80.5 right to this level. So again, when I'm waiting for it to come down here, so if you get set up for short, we're going to go up to 81. If it gives us a little, okay, get ready at 80.50. So here's going to be our entry. Surprised we didn't get it right there. Still trying to climb higher. That's probably short covering just from the initial crowd. So again, if you look all the way to the left, you see the market, that first bar in the red. That's a good sign. All right, all the way up to 83. All right, what's going on in some of the others while we wait for this? I'm still waiting for that 80.50 entry. Let's go up to 81. Wait for an 81 entry. Again, looking for a dollar stop. If it keeps going up to 85 or so, we're gonna have to just give up on it. Home's not moving a whole lot. NVAX, I kind of like the entry on NVAX. We'll take a look there. Oh, can we go up to 82? All right, we're going to go to 82. Again, we're taking this short. You're like, what are you thinking? Well, this is all short covering is what I'm thinking. That they're making the money and this is going to turn around and come back down. So we're at 82. We'll be looking at a dollar stop. Okay, here it's coming back down to us. Maybe, we shall see. Kind of like the entry in NVAX, but don't have the time to get over there on this chart because I don't want to miss the entry. There at home finally went. Looks like it late entry there. All right, still getting 3 down bars on the market. So again, going into the 3rd minute. All right, we're going to take this at 82.50. I would like to be able to get up there and cover the high of the day, but I just can't do it. I can't do a $2.50 stop on this. Well, they're at home just went to the downside. All right, I said we'd give up at 85. It just touched it. So if it doesn't start selling off now, I'm going to roll out of this thing. Too much other stuff is going on. All right, let's enter at 83 on the downside. Okay, get ready for it. Again, this will be a short in GSX based off of legal issues with the SEC. Those are dojis up top from 84 to 85. Still strong volume. All right, I'm out of GSX. I'm tired of dorking with it. Now watch, it's going to do a hammerhead here and come screaming down. All right, let's see what's going on in NVAX here. A lot of congestion. 101, basically $3 move there. I'm keeping this up. We're going to still look at that, but obviously it's pretty strong there. All right, at home, kind of missed the initial move here down 18. That's a 70-cent move right there in that bar. That's a pretty move. All right, so we're going to get rid of NVAX and look at our other shorts. I do kind of like, we talked about this yesterday, where you have the kind of the decreasing green bars across the way. That tends to kind of go to a waterfall situation where you strike down. Their NVAX going to get rid of the NVAX and look at, let's see, SCVL on that right screen. This is Shoe Carnival. Keep your ticker set up for this GSX entry. Disregard that move. I like it. It's going to have to retrace down here to 83. But when this thing sells off, I think it's going to sell off hard. But showing only strength right now. Okay, here's our SCVL. It does have the volume. Again, looking at all shorts here in the first little bit. All right. Again, I'm looking at 83. I'm just going to put a little tiny mark here so you know where I'm looking at. That would be the entry point again to the downside if it hits. So just so you know what I'm looking at there while we're off on another screen. JAMF. Again, this is a short. Open at 37.30. That's only 35 cents to the downside. All right, back to GSX. All right, this is the first red bar of the day. So this is one of these where if it's going to sell off, it's going to sell off here and it's going to sell off hard. I know I said I'd give up on it, but it's setting up too pretty. All right, we're not in that yet. I'm just setting up for there. All right, and that was the end of the shorts. Now let's see, Invex. We had that up initially. Again, just pull that chart. Again, my eyeballs are over here on this GSX. I still can't believe that's not selling off with an SEC investigation. I'm gonna go over to the right screen, see if there's any news articles. Maybe the SEC investigation was a bogus article. All right, that's GSX. All right. 8:52 is the last article. Again, that's local time. Here in Austin, 8:52. Oh, sorry, it's Eastern time. All right, again, still looking at that GSX trade. See what else we can go. Switching this right screen to longs now. See what's going on alongside. GES was the top long. So see if that worked. So went up to 15 bucks, opened down here at 13.94 up to 14. So about $1 move there, kind of straight up, selling off pretty hard now. All right, let's see. The other Land's End is LE. Again, this would have been a long, that failed basically completely. 15 down to about 70%, 70 cent move down. Macy's was another one that was gapping up. Ooh, good move out of Macy's here. So opened at 745. What's going on? 745. Yeah, it's about 35-cent move. Again, you're on a 10-cent stop here. So that would have worked had we taken that long. Overall, the market's up about 0.5% across the board. She's starting to sell off there. Zillow is another name we looked at for Z. Again, still keeping my eyes still set up for that GSX trade. We may not get it, which means we're not going to trade at all. So big move up, 91. So basically over $1 in that first minute, and then it's kind of finding its way from there. All right. There it is, 83. Take it short. So 83 is our entry point for GSX. I will draw our arrow there. Our stop is going to be 84.50. So it's a $1.50 stop. I think this thing's going to fall like a rock. It's spent way too much time dorking around up there. So 84.50 is our stop. And so that means it's going to be 81.50 is the first R, second R down here at 80 even, and then third R would be down here at 78.50. So it backed up against us. So wow, I was very optimistic there. We're already back out based off of that. So a more conservative play would have been, again, all the $3 stop up here to the high of the day to clear all that congestion. I do think this thing sells off today, so I'm shocked that it showed the strength there. So waited all that time for that entry, finally got it right when I looked there. And again, this is one of those, if you had it, your P&L would explode to the upside and then all the way back to the out. assuming you had the stop in time. This is one of these where if you didn't put the stop in because it happened too fast, still honor the stop. You could actually go to put your stop here at 85.15, but then you're risking a little bit more than R. But again, just have your fingers ready on the market order to get out if it hits 84.50 again, which it just did, so you're out. So either way, out of the GSX trade, it did not work. So bummer, -1R on the day. All right, let's switch back to our long hats and see what is in play here. There's our DraftKings up 7%. Northwest Bio has been on fire. I need to see what there's news associated with Northwest Bio. I'm off on another screen, putting in the ticker. It's a penny stock. It's down there. It's up at 44. It's gapping up from 40 cents to 44 cents on 100,000 volume. No news though, but that's a good thing to see it up here on the board. Workhorse has been on fire. Kohl's, good to see Kohl's getting some love. They're getting some residual love off of Macy's. LCA was the name we talked about earlier for the online gaming name that's going to come out and be GNOG. Intel, a little bit of love. Coke, Twitter, Doc, IBM, some value names in here you don't hear a whole lot of. Let's see what's on the downside. Luckin selling off 5%. Remember, Luckin moved up 50% in 2 days. So yes, it was off yesterday. Yes, it was off today, but let's just pull that chart because we don't want to be too greedy. So yeah, we were here, what, 3 days ago? So even though obviously you're seeing a move to the downside, don't sweat that. We've had two big, huge days up, so keep an eye on it. Tesla selling off, you know, I like to see that. We took that short yesterday, or we tried to anyway. We turned out to be right, and again, it's selling off today. Shopify is taking a little bit of a breather. Clickstream, Baba, not too many names in the red there. So let's go back up to the green here for the names. All right, looking good. All right, I'm seeing the chat blowing up here, so let's take a look at the chat. We can go back to the day trading names. Home finally made its move down, 18 down to there. And then see what Invax finally did while we're looking through the chat. And Invax is indeed falling again. It'd be $1 stop. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you got a 3-hour trade in there. On the downside, if you took it, it would have been 99 here on that way down. So, all right. Well, I picked the one name that didn't work out there. So my bad. All right, let's see what's going on here in the chat. I have to actually expand the chat. There's so much chat this morning. All right, starting up at the top. Birthdays, yes. Stimulus money. Yeah, no, I think you will see a Predator, good point on the cruise lines and airlines. I think you will see an explosion of spending, if you will, once we get the vaccine. So I do think that happens. Super V, boom, I like that. Think of Macy's as a parade and not for clothes. Yeah, that's when I put people in the Macy's bonds at pennies on the dollar. I don't think anybody was excited about that. That's paying off though. I mean, it's up from where I bought it for those bonds. All right, good question about TradeStation. I don't see the answer from Predator, so you may have checked out. Upgrade Zillow. Let's take a look at that on this right-hand screen. I want to say that did work for the Zillow upgrade. You know, I don't take trades after I got busted out of them, but I really like this trade still. Get out to here where I drew this. So, not telling you to get back in it, but all right, let's see. Upgrade Zillow 106 for a target. So it's up 4%. It's not really moving up higher though. All right, there's GSX news from Boom. NBO acquires FlaskWorks. Yeah, don't know. Put that in my notes. I don't know what FlaskWorks is, but I will do some work on it after my doctor's appointment here shortly. DC Vax. Ah, there's Predator back. Welcome. We're closing out the chat right now. If you missed that, I know we took GSX. I called the entry at 83, got busted out, and now it's falling like a rock. All right. Companies do a breakthrough system to close and automate the manufacturing of cell therapy products such as DC Vax. Can't really follow that other than it reads like really good news. So probably hold that Northwest Bio for a while. Yeah, that's one thing, Predator, good point there with TradeStation and kind of your trade specific, Tasty Trade, interactive brokers. Those folks, you can check it real time. TD Ameritrade, you have to pick up the phone and call them, which, I mean, that's terrible when you're talking acting within seconds, right? Oh, GSX, killing me. All right. Most are available, some are not. You can request shares. That's true. You can also put in a request. So, all right, good stuff in the chat this morning. Thanks for being chatty. All right, over to the Q&A of the day. Overall market's up over 0.5%, kind of holding there. All right, boom. What does non-GAAP net income mean? Let me just I don't need to read this aloud to you. Well, I will for the recording. RXTD, TDA News, Rackspace Tech was ending down almost 2% after the cloud service company later reported late Monday non-GAAP Q2 and then a bunch of numbers. Pre-market, okay. Yeah, looks like you've got a little sweet tooth for RXT. So while I talk about that in non-GAAP earnings, let's take a look at Rackspace Tech. We're going to back it out to a 5-day chart because it's been in the news. All right, so it gapped up here. So again, it was a long name that we were looking at back in here, peaked out pre-market before. This would have been Tuesday here. So Monday night, it kind of peaked out and it's been really kind of sold off yesterday, kind of hard. So here's the earnings you see down at the bottom for the earnings and earnings call, and then that's the dividend that it pays out for reading the chart there. Okay, so let's talk about non-GAAP earnings. Now, if you remember me griping about Tesla forever did non-GAAP earnings. So non-GAAP, well, let's talk about GAAP is, and then you can talk about what non-GAAP is. GAAP stands for Generally Accepted Accounting Principles. So that means when you report your statements and everything, you are talking the same language as everybody else. So non-GAAP is when you are taking special things into consideration. So let's talk Tesla first, and then we'll try to relate it to RXT. As far as when you, like Tesla gets incentives. So we're bringing Tesla Gigafactory, one of their Gigafactories here to Austin. And the state of Texas gives them all kinds of incentives together. So how do you factor in the incentives? Obviously, those have value. If you don't factor them in at all, that's your generally accepted accounting principles. So you might actually show a huge loss, but by the time you factor in the incentives, that may show that you're actually profitable. So meaning you wouldn't be profitable if you didn't have those, but you know what, you do have those. So you should be able to show those, kind of. That's the thought process. So when there are companies out there that are getting incentives or doing some special projects to where the company leadership wants that factored into the statements because they think that's a more accurate representation of the company, then they can choose to present non-GAAP earnings. Now the issue is, I believe, and I will have to look this up, that in the S&P 500, and one of the reasons Tesla has not moved into the S&P 500 is I believe the S&P 500 requires you to use GAAP earnings. So it's like, no more nonsense. If you're still in nonsense world where you can basically say whatever you want, then you're not getting in our index. So, and again, there's a committee that decides who gets in and who doesn't. And there's criteria out there that needs to be met, and that's for the safety of the investor. So that's where I don't know what's going on in RXT, but when you see non-GAAP earnings, you can go, okay. It would sure be nice to see what their actual GAAP earnings are. But if they're not required to release them, then they won't release them. They're just going to release the non-GAAP, and you have to get in there and try to figure out what it is they're actually saying. So that's what I've got for you on that. I haven't pulled up on another screen here on Investopedia. So I'm not going to pull it up for you, but I'm going to look at the key takeaways. There are, this is more academic than anything, but since I'm looking at it, I'll share it with you. There are 10 general principles of GAAP earnings. Principle of regularity, consistency, sincerity, permanence of methods. Sounds like an accounting party breaking out. Non-compensation, prudence, continuity, periodicity. Entries should be distributed across appropriate periods of time. So everybody's talking the same accounts of time. Periodicity. There's your new word for me for the day. Materiality and good faith and utmost good faith. So those are the 10 principles of GAAP. And then in non-GAAP, let's see if it has anything in the key takeaways. Non-GAAP earnings are an alternative accounting method used to measure the earnings. Our pro forma figures, which exclude one-time transactions such as an organizational restructuring or incentives, can sometimes provide a more accurate measure of a company's financial performance from direct business operations. That should be in like air quotes, more accurate, according to the company leadership, which again, you don't want to always trust the company leadership, right? Luck and coffee. Investors should be aware of possible misleading reporting by companies who exclude items that have a negative effect on GAAP earnings. So there's a criticism of non-GAAP earnings, meaning people basically, there's some examples you can find out in Investopedia if you want. All right, that's all I've got for you today. Again, during that answer, the markets are still in the green, but definitely the trajectory is starting to go red. I could, I say this every day and I'm wrong every day, but we are due for a big red day of profit taking. We really are. And I'm kind of shocked it hasn't happened already. Our trade here, we only took one, we busted out of it. So boo, we actually busted out of it right there. So we took it just a little too soon and didn't give it quite enough stop. You can see that it is working. I bet if we check back on this tomorrow morning, it's like at 75. So anyhow, with that, I will leave you. Thanks again for checking in. Thanks so much for the chat conversation going back and forth. And I appreciate that. And we will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.